Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, what condition my condition was in.
Alon, what's the shortest amount of time you spent on an international trip?
Shortest, like, you mean
Shortest
like
duration of time you spent internationally?
shortest amount of 2 days?
Really? Okay. Where were you?
Toronto. Maybe it was
okay.
2.5. 2.5.
I guess that counts, but
I've never been to Europe. I've never been.
You haven't? Okay.
No, I've never been to Japan. I've been to Mexico and I've been to Canada.
Gotcha.
North American kind of guy, I guess.
Okay. So I don't know if I've told you this, but next Wednesday I'm going to Italy for my sister's wedding.
Oh, destination wedding.
Destination wedding. And I have strong opinions about destination weddings. However, it's my sister.
Yeah.
And she's getting married in Rome. And I don't get the greatest amount of PTO from my work. So I'm literally going to be there I leave Wednesday afternoon. I get in Thursday afternoon, Italy time. I will be there from Thursday to Sunday. I'm flying back Sunday. And I'm taking the day off on Monday to recoup and sleep all day. I'm back at work Tuesday for NBA free agency.
So you're going to fly, let's just call it almost 30 hours collectively.
Yeah.
Between being in the airport, in the plane, doing all that. You're going to spend 3 days, 3 days there?
Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So 4 days there.
Yeah, okay. But two of those are travel. That's short, man. Cross the ocean as well. Holy crap.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot. And I'll probably be dead by the time I come back. But what we do for our family members, Alon?
Yeah, nothing like having a destination wedding halfway across the world. I have opinions on destination weddings too.
By all means.
A destination could be. So my buddy Connor, he got married last October.
Okay.
And it was, I've bitched about this before. There was third Saturday in October, Alabama, Tennessee, all these things. The wedding was in Marin, and beautiful wedding, nice and everything like that. But I mean, that's a commute for me. I had to get on a plane, fly for an hour and a half to San Francisco, and that's about my distance. I'm very Larry David on these things. If I have to go a little bit farther than is inconvenient, you better be really good friends or family.
Yes, and believe me, I love my sister. But when I heard this about 2 years ago that she was going to a destination wedding in Italy, I was like, you can't do the goddamn honeymoon there? Like, seriously, there's going to be a lot of family members that can't go. Yeah. So it is what it is. It's her day. It's not my day. It's her day. But I always think of Larry David on Rich Eisen, where Rich Eisen asks him, what do you think about destination weddings? He goes, I don't do them.
Yeah.
I tell them, too far. Like, when you write back on the invitation, maybe, yes, I'm going, no, I'm going. He just writes back, no, too far. And believe me, I'm getting to my Larry David days. I hear it all the time. People say I'm George Costanza when I'm doing the KMBR show. I'm definitely more like Larry David. Not everything like Larry David, but I think let your honeymoon be the destination.
Yeah.
The wedding, it's I gotta fucking travel all the way there to see this goddamn thing.
Expensive. Rome
Expensive
is not
as shit.
a cheap city.
Yeah, but then again, I love my sister, and if it was where I was given more PTO, where I could go visit my mother for a full week, and I'm still going to do that and come early July in Houston, Texas. But yeah, man, it's a lot. So look at me bitching and complaining about going to Italy, but I'm bitching and complaining going about Italy.
You know what? That sounds a lot better. So my short international trip to Toronto, if you could even call it international, it is. I mean, there's a border there. A wedding is, I wish I was going to a wedding in Toronto. When I went, this was about 13 years ago, I had to get eye surgery, and it was a surgery that wasn't approved in the United States. So I went to I went to the eye surgeon. I tried hitting up the eye surgeon that used to work on all the Warriors guys. I forget what
Dr. Craig Bindi?
Yes, Dr. Craig Bindi. They couldn't do it. So I went to Toronto to the doctor for the Toronto Blue Jays. And
no way.
Yeah, dude, it was wicked. It was really cool because my vision is fixed now. But also it was awful because I was awake for the whole thing. I was numbed up.
Yeah.
But they like grinded down my cornea. I watched it all on the camera that they had set up out of the eye that wasn't being operated on. And then the next 2 days, oh, it was hell. Felt like my eyes were on fire. So Rome's going to be a lot more fun than that.
Yeah, I would think so, but my eyes might be on fire by the time I come back. But yeah, just your opinion, man. Alon to say, Derek Papa coming to you on a Thursday night. And I know we got the World Cup going on. We got, who's it, Mexico and Korea going up against each other right now. So
South Korea, let's be specific.
Sorry about that, South Korea. And let's just start with that, Alon. So I've been catching these games. It's been a lot of fun, especially the games are on at 9 o'clock at night. What was it last Saturday night? Again, I'm sorry, like all these games are kind of jumbling up to me, so correct me if I'm wrong. But earlier, I think I want to say on Tuesday, we had, I'm going to fuck this up, Austria going up against Jordan.
Yes.
At Levi's Stadium. Of course, they can't call it Levi's Stadium because the sponsors don't go with, that's weird to me. Like whenever I hear like, well, we're live from Los Angeles Stadium, it's like it's SoFi Stadium, but they don't want that affiliation with the World Cup. So whatever. But yeah, we had that. That was a lot of fun at 9 o'clock at night. Argentina winning 3-0 over Algeria. And of course, that's significant because of Lionel Messi with a hat trick at 38 years old. We had England beating Croatia 4-2. Spain and Cape Verde. Is it Cape Verde or Cape Verde?
I always say Cape Verde, but I'm actually not. It could be Cape Verde for all I know.
I think it's Cape Verde, actually. I've heard that on the broadcast, but who knows these days? They had a draw at 0-0. And, of course, USA takes on Australia tomorrow at noon. So get your men at work on. Land down under. So, Alon, so far, what has stood out to you in, I guess, exactly a week of the World Cup?
A few things have stood out to me. So, first, let's talk about the United States. The United States has come out very intense, and we haven't had a striker really. I mean, Josie Altidore had his moments at times about 10, 15 years ago, but we really haven't had a good striking game in a long time. Balogun has definitely provided in that way. I think the team is tough, which is really good to see. I think also they're playing with a lot of confidence. So I love that. I want to see what that looks like against Australia, who's not as skilled as the United States, but is very, very physical. They played a match in Colorado, I forget how many months ago, but it was a very physical game. So I'm excited to see that. I hope United States can, rack up another win and do it by at least a margin of 1, just to keep building that goal aggregate. You want to finish in first, so that way you're playing a third place team in the next round. But Mexico, on the other hand, they're up 1-0 right now against Korea. Romo scored a goal after the goalkeeper for Korea kind of fumbled the ball there. You'll take a goal however you can get it. Mexico, they have a lot of pressure on them as well. They want to finish first place, because if they finish first place in their group, they will play the next round in Mexico as well. So basically, they're playing to have all their games be home games. They're playing in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico right now. They opened it up in Mexico City, so that's been fun to watch. They're winning right now 1-0, as I said. And then I thought England was impressive. I know they did give up a couple of goals, but it was good to see Harry Kane show that, he's just a great goal scorer. He was able to get a couple. And then Leo Messi with a hat trick. I mean, I don't like getting into greatest of all time conversations, especially I love Cristiano Ronaldo. He looks like a shell of himself right now. Absolutely.
I wanted to ask you about that. Yeah.
Statue for Portugal, but there is no denying that Leo Messi, he very much has an argument for greatest of all time. I mean, maestro in the midfield, can score goals, gets a ton of assist numbers, has, Champions League, World Cup now, all these things, and he's still playing at this high level at 38 years old is insane. So, Ronaldo, you expect to slow down, a bigger, more physical player than Leo Messi is, and he's 41. But, man, to see Messi still do that, it kind of makes you wonder if he could go back to Spain and keep kind of putting up those kinds of numbers, because he's been, I wouldn't call it a sabbatical or retirement yet, but he's been on vacation at Miami. So it's been fun. But yeah, go ahead with the Ronaldo question, Derek.
Well, no, I was watching SportsCenter last night, and again, I'm not not going to act like I watched every single World Cup game. I've been, watching them, going to bars, and people are having a good time watching this. It's a lot of fun. But when I'm home, I have it on the background. I'm paying attention, but not intently. Ronaldo, I was watching SportsCenter last night. They're having the conversation. Should he be benched? What do you think right now?
No, he can't be benched. I mean, he is Portugal. I mean, for better or for worse. And yeah, he's 41. I don't think he should be benched. Maybe he shouldn't play the entire game, but there were some times where he could have dumped the ball off and they could have scored. And he still is, he's still a great player. He's put up massive numbers in the Arab League. But for Al Nassr, but yeah, I don't know. He held them back definitely in game one, but I wouldn't bench him. I mean, and you really can't. Portugal can't. He's their greatest player of all time, and it's just one of those. It's like Steph Curry. When he's 41, he's not going to get benched. He's going to be out there for better or for worse.
Yeah, that is true, and of course, we hope that Steph Curry is still at a high level. When he gets older in age, but you see Ronaldo and. Yeah, that was a conversation last night when it came to the World Cup. And then as far as Australia and USA tomorrow at noon, who is the player that's TBD at the moment with his health?
Christian Pulisic. So he played a great game and, nicknamed Captain America. He's probably he is the most skilled player on the men's national team. But in the opening game, he did kind of get hit in the back of the calf. So he's been kind of, nursing that. They haven't determined whether he'll play or not. I've read reports that it's doubtful. The Athletic also says it's still up in the air. So we won't know until tomorrow. If I was betting on it, I would say he probably won't play. But, I mean, you don't know. They're keeping it very close to the vest.
We shall see tomorrow at noon with USA taking on Australia. And not a lot of news going on. So we may keep it brief tonight. We'll get a lot of different topics, but not a lot of news. We'll talk about what's going on with Giannis. We know that there is a deadline per se for him getting dealt before the NBA draft on Tuesday, but we're kind of hearing now that maybe it goes beyond the draft. Maxx Crosby stuff with Hondo Carpenter. Me and Steven have talked about Hondo a lot. Hondo, Alon. We'll talk about that with. Again, it feels like we talked about Maxx Crosby to the Niners a lot this offseason, and that's going to happen when the trade to the Baltimore Ravens falls through. So we'll discuss that a little bit. Anthony Slater, going back to basketball, Anthony Slater wrote a very detailed article on the Warriors' offseason plan, so we'll get to that. And then, of course, Brendan Sorsby is not going to play college football. We'll get into that as well. But just real quick, Alon, I don't know if you saw some of the clips today. Knicks finally celebrated their championship the first time since 1973 with a parade today. Seems like guys were having fun. The usual, stuff you see with a parade. I remember being around here in, Lake Merritt when the Warriors were winning their championships. It was so much fun. So much fun those days when we would cover them as a station for 95.7 The Game. And I remember Draymond taking the mic and, going in on everybody. What, Cavs? They suck. All those great moments. And I don't think we had any of that today with the Knicks. I saw Mike Brown scream, "Who let the dogs out?" That's been their funny, corny, rallying cry song for them. Saw Jalen Brunson say that when people criticize you and you prove them wrong, you don't have to say anything back in return. I didn't say anything crazy. I think the crazy part was all of New York was there. Like the city shut down today. So that was fun to see. But I didn't see anything like, monumental when it came to like if you compare it to like the Eagles parade years ago where Jason Kelce dresses up like the Sultan from Aladdin and tells Michael Lombardi to fuck off. Did I say Jason or Travis Kelce?
You said Jason.
Okay,
you said Jason.
Well, then there was Travis Kelce. You got to fight for your right to party with the Chiefs parade. Or even Jokic. When the Nuggets won the championship, and he was like, "I don't want to go to parade. I just want to go home to ponies." Yep. Nothing crazy today. I want to say I saw some Knicks fans being interviewed, asked, who do you love more right now, your mother or Jalen Brunson? And a lot of people said Jalen Brunson. But yeah, it seemed like a good time. I thought they were going to get some crazy shenanigans with the Knicks parade, but not really.
I think they got a lot of that craziness out in the 3
maybe,
prior, right after winning. I think that's what happened. But I watched. I didn't watch the entire parade. I didn't watch the whole stream of it, but I did see some clips. I thought maybe the craziest thing was James Dolan being able to speak in public.
Yes,
and he had Mom Donnie on stage with him too. That was probably the craziest moment, and it was political in a way, and questioning fandom, and very interesting.
Well, yeah. So Mom Donnie went on before him, and he acknowledged Charles Oakley, and he acknowledged where the team was at. And then James Dolan comes on and says, "I don't need to agree. I don't need to go through the history of the Knicks in the last few years. I'm looking for your vote. So if you know what's going on in the last few years, you're a true Knicks fan." And I thought that was him kind of being like defensive, but then I didn't realize that Mondani spoke right before him. Yeah. So yeah, you know what? Like I said before, James Dolan, not a great owner, not a big fan of his, but his team won. He gets his 15 minutes of fame again. You really give a lot of credit to Leon Rose and the team and Mike Brown. But, yeah, I guess that was the highlight today, was just a little political back and forth between the owner and the mayor of New York.
Yeah, it was weird. I mean, it was questioning like fandom chops and just kind of, I don't know. I mean, James Dolan has definitely, for good reason, I mean, especially banning Charles Oakley from MSG when he did that. I mean, and the way he's run that team, and they haven't been successful under his ownership. I guess now you can say they are with a championship, but you know, it was kind of his moment in a way too. I mean, the entire city doesn't hate him for once, I would say.
Yeah, for a little bit of time. We'll see what he does next. Checking out in the chat here, we got Ernie One going on. He's watching Mexico and Korea, so he'll be more invested when that ends. And where are we at right now in that match, Alon? About 20 minutes?
19 minutes of regular time to go, and then we'll probably get about 6 minutes of stoppage time.
All right. Yeah, so we'll be on once the game goes final, but thank you for joining us, Ernie. We got a new guy in the chat right now, Giop Soy. This is a good transition to our next topic. If Giannis wants to win now, he needs to force himself to Boston. He ain't ever going to win in Miami. I agree with that. We'll see what other moves Miami could make, but a team of just Giannis, Bam Adebayo, and Andrew Wiggins is not enough for me to think they're going to contend. And it may just be the destination. People love Miami. Who doesn't love Miami? But if he wants to win, if that's what this whole thing is about, where he doesn't feel the Bucks have done enough things with their roster where he can't compete for a championship, then yeah, he needs to go to Boston. So the latest, we talked about it on Sunday, and I thought that we would have something by now, but again, I guess people are saying that the Milwaukee Bucks are just so difficult to deal with. The latest is that Giannis could be dealt by the trade deadline, or he couldn't. And Sam Amick, I think, went on with the FanDuel basketball show today saying that he thinks he's going to Boston, but he's not positive that it will get done by the NBA draft. When you got to believe, like, for teams that want to make this move, I want it done now for this year's draft. I don't want to wait till next year. And, you know, it's kind of weird with the draft being before free agency in the NFL. You know, you get to make trades and it impacts your upcoming draft. Or if you wait till June 1st, like A.J. Brown and Myles Garrett, then that impacts 2027. But I think when push comes to shove, we'll get a deal done maybe this weekend. And there's differing reports. Basically, if Giannis is going to Boston, Jaylen Brown needs to be part of the trade. And I'm in favor of that. I watching the Boston Celtics in the playoffs this year. And again, if they've been like this the last few years, they won a championship a couple of years ago against the Dallas Mavericks. But they're way too 3-point centric. Like you and I talked about it. Who's their five? He's not even like, he's like maybe 6'10". I forget his name, but like he's not big. Not traditional big. They don't have size on that team. When Joel Embiid was healthy for that series, he kicked their ass.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
So I'm all in favor of Giannis, and I think that in recent years we've seen it where Jaylen Brown is a little upset that he's not the star in Boston. We saw when the Olympics were going on and Steve Kerr chose. You're right. Yes. Thank you, Otis Bird. Kata.
Yeah.
And what up, Otis Bird? He also in the chat here saying a comment. The Bucks are trying to get the best deal. Feels like the Heat trade may be better, but Giannis the Celtics would be intriguing. I'm with you on that one. But honestly, what's being reported for the Heat deal, I'm not a fan of. It's who is it? Tyler Hero, Jaime
Jaime
Jaquez,
Jaquez.
and a lot of guys I don't know on the Heat. And if I was the Bucks, I wouldn't want to take that deal anyway. Now, can you get a shit ton of draft picks from the Miami Heat? I think that's the most important thing. Can you get a shit ton of draft picks from the Boston Celtics? Maybe. And again, it depends who the third team is with Jaylen Brown. But as I was saying, like Joel Embiid kicked their ass in the postseason, so you need that size. And yeah, Jaylen Brown was upset when Derek White was selected over him in the Olympics. Jaylen Brown this past year saying this was his favorite year playing basketball. You have to believe because he wasn't playing with Jason Tatum. So I think they should move on. And I think that it would be way more intriguing. Now, it is interesting to me, and I brought this up last time, that Giannis would go to two teams that were a pain in his ass in the Eastern Conference. Now, are they the same exact teams? No. But I do wonder if people are going to have that take where Giannis gets traded to either the Heat or the Boston Celtics, and people were ready to come down Kevin Durant's road being like, well, this is the weakest move I've ever seen from a superstar, joining the team that beat you when you were up 3-1 on them in the Golden State Warriors. Are people going to think it's weak that Giannis stayed in the Eastern Conference and went to teams that consistently beat him? The Miami Heat. I'm not sure the Celtics did in 2022, the second round. Not consistently with Boston, but yeah. So I would say I like Boston for Giannis, but I followed every report out there from the local beat writers in Boston to the national guys, Jake Fisher, Kevin O'Connor, Sam Amick. It's something different every day. So there's some people believe that Boston's 100% in on this. There's some people that believe that Boston, with fear that they don't land Giannis, are trying to make it seem like they were never 100% in on him and they want Jaylen Brown to come back. Either way, I do think Giannis will be dealt before the NBA trade deadline. And my hope it's Boston, because I don't think that he could do much winning in Miami.
Miami's interesting because, I mean, they would just basically have two frontline players and him and Bam, and then an Andrew Wiggins on the wing. And in some crazy world, I guess they could lure LeBron James for a year or something like that back to Miami. I mean, that's kind of the option for them, right?
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, Alon, but there's no way in hell that LeBron's playing for Pat Riley again.
Well, he'd be playing. Well, yeah, Pat Riley's not the coach, but yeah, okay.
He's the boss. Remember what Pat Riley said when he left Miami for Cleveland? Said you'll never win again, and
you'll never. Yeah, I do.
LeBron has remembered that.
Yeah, okay, I forgot about that. But so yeah, I mean, Miami's kind of we talked about it last week or last episode about how Boston, if it's just about winning, like Jop Soy said, then it is Boston. It's Boston or bust for him. As far as the potential trade goes, I thought one of the most interesting that I saw, and this is all not confirmed. It's just potential, right? This is a projected trades.
Yeah.
Three team trade would involve the Hawks, and I thought this would be really good for the Bucks too. So the Hawks would get Jaylen Brown from the Celtics, Andre Jackson Jr. from the Bucks, the 27th from the Celtics, and then a trade exception for Buddy Hield. The Celtics would be getting Giannis, so massive for them.
Yeah,
and then the Bucks would get an opportunity with Jonathan Kuminga, which would be very interesting. And then, they'd kind of rebuild from there. So I saw that. I was like, that potentially could make sense. But I don't know. And then you bring up the fear thing about not wanting to miss out on Giannis, not wanting to look like, if you're the Celtics, we didn't get the guy we wanted. I don't know how much that goes into their calculation. I understand they don't want to piss off Jaylen Brown too much if they don't end up getting Giannis, but at the same time, you've already done the damage. Everyone knows that you want Giannis there, so there's nothing really to be done about that at that point. What's fascinating is, yes, would the Celtics be almost unbeatable and installable as championship favorites right off the bat with him? Of course they would, but they're pretty damn good without him already. So I think for the Celtics, it's great in a way because this is not go on a championship run or bust if you don't get this player. It's just you become a super team or more of a super team if you do get this player. So I think if he does end up going anywhere that makes sense for him, it's Boston. I can't really think of too many other options. Like the Warriors ship has sailed long ago. That's not going to happen.
It has.
And as fun as that would be to watch, it's just not worth thinking about now. And you just kind of try to wrap your head around the other teams that would make sense for him that could also give up assets and then another team would be willing to come in and do the deal with. It's kind of Boston. I can't. Miami, The only reason he's going to Miami is he loves Miami and the fact that it's an international city.
Yeah.
But that's going to be another 3 or 4 years before they're really ready to contend, probably.
I would agree. And I think it'd be similar to him going to the Warriors where, yeah, you can play with Steph and Draymond, but are you going to compete? Not really. And again, the Eastern Conference is weaker. So maybe just because they have Giannis, they can compete with who the best? Well, the Knicks, obviously, the Celtics.
Cleveland's
the Pistons.
good.
Yeah, the Pistons are a young and upcoming team. So there is more competition than people realize. But, yeah, I just think it'd be lame. I don't know. Like, I don't love Giannis playing with Bam Adebayo. I want to see him play with Jason Tatum. And as G-Pop, and what's up, Rocka New Era, and what's up, Otis Bird? As G-Pop Soy says in the chat here, Giannis to Boston, Brown to Bucks, then gets traded to Clippers for their number 5 pick. Works for all teams. I agree with that. He also adds, if Boston has a brain, they would do the trade Brown, but Tatum has – hold on. But if Boston has a brain, they do the trade – they trade Brown, but Tatum as it's Brown who's better player of the two. All right, going a little over the place there, but I hear what you're saying. Yeah, some people believe Jaylen Brown's a better player. I think Jason Tatum has proven himself. You don't think so?
Jason Tatum's way more valuable than Brown is, in my opinion.
I think it's debatable, but I mean, Jason Tatum has proven himself to be. Did he win MVP a couple years ago?
I don't know if he won MVP, but I mean,
no, he did.
If we were to pull up his basketball reference, I mean, you just look at the numbers that he puts up, and he's borderline undefendable at times.
Well, Jaylen Brown won Finals MVP when they won the Finals, but yeah, I think Tatum and Giannis is a good duo. And I get the athleticism with Jaylen Brown there. I think both players are really good. And I think they've been a great duo for quite some time now to go from what was Kyrie Irving's team at one point in time to them taking it over. But yeah, I think at the end of the day, it's the right move to move on from Jaylen Brown because ultimately with Jason Tatum out, he needed to rise to the occasion. He did not in that Game 7. So it sounds like Jaylen Brown's kind of tired of Boston, the city itself, and wants to go to a different location. So, yeah, him going to the Clippers would make sense. I've seen that, the Kuminga angle to it. That'd be hilarious if Kuminga gets dealt, because then could you say the Warriors won the trade?
Yes.
With Porzingis potentially signing a contract extension? I mean, yeah. Even though we were having that debate for a while where we didn't know where Porzingis was. Like the weird illness and all that. Mm-hmm. So it sounds like they're going to sign Porzingis back here, but it also sounds like Giannis will be dealt. I'm going to say the Celtics. I'll say Celtics. I'm hoping it's Celtics. But a lot of people are also saying the Miami Heat are kind of going into with the mentality come Tuesday that they're going to have the 13th overall pick, which the Bucks will have the 13th overall pick with the belief that they're going to trade for Giannis. So, or trade Giannis to the Miami Heat. So we'll see if that materializes. There's also rumors about maybe John Morant being dealt to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Julius Randle. That'd be very interesting. I thought Giannis would be great for Minnesota, but he's off the table there. It's down to 2 teams, and that kills the dream that the Warriors had for the longest time of getting Giannis. I think that dream died when the trade deadline happened, or came and went. But Anthony Slater wrote a whole article about the Warriors' offseason plans. And let's start with what Mike Dunleavy Jr. said yesterday in his pre-draft press conference, where he anticipates they will draft a player at pick 11. So that's good to know. They need to get younger there. But could they use that pick to get a superstar? We'll talk about that as well. But Anthony Slater writes, and this has been the talking point for most of the offseason about will the Warriors land LeBron James. Warriors will go after LeBron if he doesn't sign back with the Lakers, essentially. So, right now the Lakers, it's that time period now where players that will become free agents can negotiate with their current teams. But once we get to free agency, I think on June 30th, if they don't sign by them, then they can, do the whole legal tampering period where they can sign with a different team. And we talked about this last time, Alon. The Warriors cannot offer anything more than the mid-level exception of $15 million. Yeah. The Lakers can offer way more than that. Everyone seems to believe that LeBron's going back to LA. They've mended fences. They're even talking about bringing Kevin Love with him back to LA. So I don't think they're landing LeBron. And I wasn't really in favor of it in the first place. Again, it's just me being the fan and remembering 10 years ago of the rivalry between the Cavs and the Warriors. Would it be intriguing? Yes. Would it be like, all right, this is something here? Ultimately, I do not see LeBron landing with the Warriors.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's their ultimate pursuit. And then they have in their consolation prize, I guess, idea is Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
And that is incredibly more likely, I would say, than LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
But if I was actually constructing the team with just Steve Kerr's last year in mind, I'd rather have LeBron James. I would.
I get that.
And that's just for on the court reasons. Off the court reasons in terms of like business and financial and media and all that stuff, it would be unbeatable. But yeah, I think, look, the Lakers can offer so much more if they want to make sure that LeBron retires from his playing career as a Laker, and the Warriors, can only offer that $15 million. The real the deciding factor will be if LeBron wants to go, man, it was fun playing with those guys in the Olympics. I wouldn't mind doing that for a year and living in the Bay Area and all that kind of stuff, or San Francisco. But yeah, I mean, I think at this point you should still go all in on all in, meaning $15 million, and try to sell it to him.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, probably focus on Kawhi Leonard, which I don't love, but I mean, that's kind of the state that the Warriors are in. And kind of the other problem is if you do get Kawhi Leonard, you're probably going to, I think it's very hard to have a world where Kawhi Leonard and Jimmy Butler are on the same team, not because they hate each other or anything like that, but that's probably a piece that will get moved for that.
Yeah, they're very similar players, even though I think Kawhi Leonard's a better offensive player at this point in his career.
Yes.
But yeah. So yes, that was part of the article as well, where Anthony Slater says the Warriors are very interested in Kawhi Leonard and almost came to a trade at the deadline. Steve Ballmer, though, is adamant he does not want to trade Kawhi Leonard, that he wants to build a young team around Kawhi. Now, I would love to know what Kawhi thinks, because he's in the last year of his contract. He went through a lot of hell this past season because of the aspiration stuff coming out with Pablo Torre. So does he just want to get away from the Clippers or go to a different destination? I think that if you ask Kawhi, he probably wants to go someplace else. And that I've heard that like part of the trade scenario with Giannis, where maybe Kawhi gets dealt to Miami and Giannis goes to Boston and Jaylen Brown goes to the Clippers. So we could see if that materializes. But Kevin O'Connor of Yahoo Sports said today that the Warriors, they kind of have, let the LeBron idea go, and they're all in on Kawhi Leonard right now. So what would you be willing to give up to get Kawhi Leonard? That's the question.
Yeah.
And what I didn't anticipate happening this offseason was written in this article from Anthony Slater. Draymond Green reportedly will opt into his contract of $27.6 million. I think a couple of months ago, Draymond was honest on the podcast saying that he envisions him opting out and him signing a short-term extension for less money. But now I wonder if the offer that Dunleavy was giving Draymond makes him think, I'll just take the $27 million this year and take my chances. Now, if he opts in, makes him way more easier to trade as well. So could he be moved if they're trying to make a big-time move this offseason? So yeah, I wonder if Kawhi makes a lot of sense if Jimmy Butler's on the team, and I wonder if a team would just take on Kawhi Leonard or Jimmy Butler in a trade to take on that salary and just get him off the books for the Warriors. That's what I think might happen here, where obviously, Jimmy Butler made a huge difference when they acquired him, getting them to the second round of the playoffs, but he's out for an entire year. We don't know when he's coming back with that ACL tear. And you have to think about that. You have to think about that with Moses Moody as well, where we only have so many years left with Steph Curry. He's contract eligible in August, but do you move guys off the team that are not going to help you right now? So, yeah, I think a lot of things are up in the air, but it sounds like the Warriors have their heart set on Kawhi Leonard. Just going through the chat here real quick. Otis Bird, I agree. LeBron and the Warriors would have been awkward. LeBron and Steph are competing for a fifth ring, and the Warriors have battled LeBron. It would be a little awkward, but they played with each other in the Olympics, and it's not the same animosity that was there 10 years ago. I still feel that way as a fan, but obviously Draymond Green and LeBron James are way chummier these days.
Yeah, no, I mean they're all friends, and it would be for a common goal if LeBron came. It would just be about winning a ring, and it would be ring or bust basically, with the chances of winning a ring probably around 15% and bust about 85%. I do like this. Can't have Jimmy and Kawhi playing together. It's an awkward fit. Yeah, stylistically, it just wouldn't work out, I don't think, and also just it's a money factor too, and the ACL as well. If you're going to go after Kawhi Leonard, it's going to almost have to involve Jimmy Butler and maybe another borderline kind of like Pajemski or something like that.
Well, what about Draymond?
So I've thought about that before. I think the problem is Draymond. I think Draymond's just not at the trade. His time to be traded was probably about 5 years ago, and I just don't see teams wanting to bring him on. Yeah. Not because he's a bad guy or a bad player or anything. It's just he's at that point where he only adds value for a handful of teams. The Warriors are one of them because of the familiarity,
of course.
And the others would be only teams that want luxury pieces for a championship run. And I just don't think that there's a lot of teams out there like that. The other thing I've been reading a little bit about regarding Kawhi is him potentially going to the Thunder, but I don't see the Thunder making a deal like that. And Chet Holmgren would be part of that too. But I don't think that would happen because the Thunder are very close already. And I think they just kind of lost because of injury, and they've played a lot of basketball over the past few years. Yeah. I mean, that's why they didn't get past the Spurs, but that's kind of the other team out there for Kawhi. But I think Kawhi is, look, as much as I would love to have LeBron James, I think the Warriors are going to end up with Kawhi Leonard and no Jimmy Butler, I think. And hey, look, that's not a bad team, right? That's Steph Curry, Kawhi Leonard, whoever else you want to put out there at guard, whether it's Moody or whoever else. That's Kristaps Porzingis and Draymond Green. Like, that's a really nice 4 pieces right there. I don't know how far that gets you, but there's one good thing about that team. Besides the gravity that Steph Curry has that we've all seen across the course of his career, Kawhi Leonard is a scorer who can score in the post, who can score in the mid-range, who can score in a variety of ways, a scorer that they haven't had since Kevin Durant. That's been the big issue for this team. I mean, I know they had the championship against Boston, but that was because of experience, but that's the issue for this team is they don't have a guy sometimes who can just, outside of Steph Curry, who can make it happen, but they don't have another guy. Jimmy Butler can get to the rack and do things like that, but Kawhi is on a different level when it comes to it. Offensively, he would be able to provide those big buckets when you need them, when the rest of the offense is breaking down or when defense is really stifling the Warriors.
Yeah, I think that, I'm with you on that. And also with Draymond Green, I mean, they came close. Draymond heard a lot of talk about him being dealt, and he was open about it. Even though Mike Dunleavy Jr. and Joe Lacob later on kind of downplayed it, like they weren't openly shopping Draymond. But if it's going to be where they make a big time move, maybe Draymond needs to be included. And at this point, though, I think Draymond wants to stay, and he's a lifetime Warrior and wants to. He's hitched his wagon to Steph Curry for so long now that he doesn't want to go someplace else. When really, with him opting in, this kind of signals to me that maybe, and again, Anthony Slater writes in the article too, like they're very happy with Draymond, even though his play kind of fell off a little bit last year. They don't envision trading him, but you never know. I do wonder though if this is where, this might be the last dance for Draymond. We're talking about this, being the last 2 years of Steve Kerr. Could be the same thing with Draymond Green, where he's not going to be there for long term. Just one more year on the books. Is it where next offseason we're talking about, Draymond Green's retiring and going into, the NBA, inside the NBA and taking over for Charles Barkley or whatever. So I think that's on the table if he does opt in. As far as other notes that Anthony Slater wrote about, Kristaps Porzingis is expected to sign a contract extension and not hit free agency, or he maybe does hit free agency, but ultimately signs back with the Warriors. And it sounds like it's going to be like a 3-year deal, but for less money than what he signed last year, or what's on his contract that the Warriors inherited with that deal with Kuminga, where he's going to be less than 30 annually. As far as the other guys, Al Horford, he can opt into his deal. I think it's like minimal money this offseason, like 15. He may retire though. He's 40 years old, so he may retire. DeAnthony Melton most likely will opt out of his contract as well and hit free agency, and could sign back with the Warriors, but we shall see. So, yeah, I think once the Giannis move goes down, you'll start hearing other things. And again, like with the NBA, unlike the NFL these days, which is kind of crazy to me, like it feels like whatever trade you heard about in the NBA for the last 10 years, it happened.
Mhm.
Like if De'Aaron Fox wants out of Sacramento, boom, he's going to San Antonio. It feels like there's a lot of hoopla with some trades in the NBA these days, and nothing materializes. Like we get free agency moves, but it's like as far as like big time trades, obviously the Luka one came out of left field, but it feels like there's more rumors around NFL trades these days, and then they come to fruition. So kind of crazy in that regard. But I never thought we'd get to that point where it feels like the summer of 2019. That's all anybody cared about years ago when we were in the middle of a playing season, and Steph Curry Kevin Durant was on the Warriors, and all anyone could talk about was, well, that offseason he's signing with the Knicks, and he didn't. But ultimately, he signed with the Brooklyn Nets, and Kyrie Irving joined him. Yeah, that whole talk I thought kind of ruined the NBA for me, where we're focusing on the offseason more than the playing season, like the here and now, as opposed to the future. And Otis Berg makes a good point here too. The new CBA ruined everything. I agree with that.
No,
so,
it did.
Yeah, go ahead, Alon.
I was just going to say Otis is dead on right there. I mean, it's so correct. And I agree with you too, Derek. A lot of the focus, especially, was right after the Durant Warriors saga, right? It was like, where are all these teams? It was just, who cares about the season? The season's important, but which big markets are these players going to? It was, what's the next super team? And yeah, it's good to not have that happen 24/7, but it's happening in football now.
Yeah, and G-Pop Soy makes another comment here. Kawhi is actually the perfect fit for the Warriors, even better than LeBron. Kawhi stays healthy, and Kristaps plays more than half the season. The Warriors will be a problem in the West. That's a big if, though. A lot of these guys don't stay healthy these days. And it's official. Mexico has won 1-0. That's how you say it in hockey. That's how you say it in soccer, right? Nil.
Yeah, it's like hockey on grass, kind of. Yeah, but
there you go.
1-0.
1-0 over South Korea. So Viva la Mexico. They get the victory, and we'll see what the USA does tomorrow against Australia. All right, Alon, let's get to, feels like we talked about Maxx Crosby for so much this offseason, and I think you and I are in agreement here. He's not going anywhere right now. Like, he is going to be a Las Vegas Raiders when training camp starts, when the preseason starts, when the regular season starts. And he'll be there for quite some time until the team, in my opinion, starts to slip. And the schedule is pretty brutal. But the latest is Hondo Carpenter. We talked about Hondo a lot on this podcast, me and Steven, through the years. Hondo puts out great articles sometimes. They're written in a weird way where he does like bullet points, but he does have good insight with what goes on in the Raiders organization. He had a great article that detailed everything that led up to the Davante Adams trade. Or no, was it the trade? Maybe not the Davante Adams trade, but it was Josh McDaniels getting fired. That was it.
Yep.
And we thought that he was going to have the same details with Davante Adams, but not so much. 2 weeks ago, we had it where Vinny Bonsignor wrote a hypothetical trade article where he thought the Niners could get Maxx Crosby if they dealt a first, a second, and Michael Williams. You and I are not high on that deal because Michael Williams is coming off a torn ACL, and he's not Jared Verse to the Browns and Rams trade to get Myles Garrett. It's not the same thing. So I don't like that deal. But Hondo Carpenter spoke on a podcast actually earlier this week that I'm just getting the exact quotes here. The Eagles and the 49ers have enormous interest in Maxx Crosby, and their interest is nuclear hot. That's a lot of big, flashy words. Just your thoughts, Alon, on Hondo and his reporting and this actually coming to fruition.
So we read the Bonsignor piece that came out, and I've read the Hondo piece that he wrote and some of his staff wrote as well over at SI. And then I do watch his SI Insider podcast from time to time. But look, I think he's good at his job. I think he knows a lot more than he always publishes. Let's put it that way. Okay. And that's part of it is not because he wants to keep access or things like that, but there's some things that are, not worth or germane to be reporting at the time. that being said, I do agree. The interest for Maxx Crosby is probably nuclear hot, especially from the Niners and the Eagles, and then probably a handful of other teams too. But the problem is just because they're interested doesn't mean that he's going to be dealt, and doesn't mean he's going to be dealt before the season. Sometimes what happens with some of Hondo's reporting is he does put breadcrumbs out there, and then something will happen and you go, look, I was hinting at it. So I don't know if this is that kind of situation. He does that a lot. I mean, That's fine. But his reporting is good. I mean, he doesn't lie. He's honest. So yeah, I mean, look, it's a story about interest, but the real story is, what would it take for the Raiders to move off of Maxx Crosby? And that leads us back to the Baltimore Ravens trade. It's something like that. Mikael Williams was not going to get it done because he's an unknown quantity or unproven quantity as a player and has an injury problem. The other thing, I believe in my heart of hearts, Mark Davis will not sign off on a deal to the 49ers unless the 49ers want to trade their franchise to him. It's just not going to happen. For the Eagles, I mean, it sucks because you do a trade with the Eagles, you instantly know you lost the trade. It's just the way it is. The Eagle, Howie Roseman wins the trade. So that's the way that would go there too. It'd be great for Maxx Crosby, but I just don't envision him being moved before the season starts. He might not even be moved at the trade deadline. This could be something that's kicked down the road for another year or two. So the problem with Crosby is he is getting older, but as brutal as the schedule is for this team coming up, the Raiders, that is, it's going to have to be a major backslide for them to want to move off of him, because they are kind of sitting there like, we had this deal on the table. We were comfortable with it. We somehow sold it to our player who loves being here. And it went through, it didn't go through. And now you're kind of left waiting there like, man, that's the deal I want, but I don't know if that's the deal I can get anymore. And I don't think the Raiders are intent on taking something less. I just don't think they're at that stage yet. Now, if the team is 0-5 or whatever it is, or 1-4, then the chances go up. But I think it's going to have to do a lot more than just their record. It's going to be, does this team look totally listless and there's no promise at all? I think that's what it's going to take for Crosby to be moved this season.
So Maxx Crosby is under contract until 2030. Mm-hmm. So if you're trading for him this trade deadline, you'll have him under contract for 3.5 seasons. The Raiders, you and I have been through this, their schedule. This is where I think that I hear you, Alon, and definitely Maxx Crosby is, rejuvenated to be a Raider once again. But how is he going to feel if they do backslide? And not even backslide, really, like just kind of be the same team they have been for the last few years.
Yeah.
So I'm just pulling up the schedule real quick. They open up against Miami, and Miami should be not that good of a team this year. So you should win that game. You're at LA, the Chargers. You're at New Orleans, improved team, I would say. Home against the Chiefs. At the Patriots, the defending AFC champions. Home against the Bills. Home against the Rams. So just think about that. The first 7 weeks of the season, after week 1, I don't know if you get a win after that. Yeah, maybe. And then you're at the Jets. You can win that game. You're at the 49ers. And then you're at the trade deadline. So I don't see a lot of wins there. And I think that, I don't know, we have to see where Maxx Crosby's at. Obviously, he felt a certain way about the team earlier this year, where he felt, conflicted, obviously, to leave the Raiders, Raider Nation. He loves Mark Davis. But he felt a certain way about John Spytek, and he felt a certain way about Tom Brady. And I wonder if those feelings come up again if they lose. Going to Hondo real quick. I think Hondo is a really good reporter for the Raiders.
Mm-hmm.
And he, as I said, he had a very detailed article years ago about the firing of Josh McDaniels. Since that time, I'll be honest, I think he's put out a lot of stuff that I don't think is real journalism or worthy of being written. I'll say that last year there was an article that me and Steven read where he reported that Trey Hendrickson is in the driver's seat, or sorry, the Raiders are in the driver's seat to trade for Trey Hendrickson. And I was like, no one else has this. And he does post a lot of articles that say breaking news. So look, I respect Hondo, but if I'm being real, he does pull a lot of shit out there, and a lot of it doesn't land. Did he report for a long time that Maxx Crosby will be traded? Yes, but he never said specifically to the Baltimore Ravens. So again, like the guy, but I'm not putting a line of stock into this. However, he's probably right. There's a lot of teams that are nuclear hot about Maxx Crosby.
Yeah.
And I think the truth is he will be the biggest name at the trade deadline because one team had him and then said, nah, we changed our minds. Now, if he goes out and he's fully healthy and he balls like he usually does, then yes, I think that the Raiders' asking price of 2 first-round picks will come to the table again. I said before, I think that the Eagles, basing things off of the Myles Garrett trade, can try to do a framework of a trade that's a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and a player. I don't think the Niners get away with that. I think if you're the Eagles and you missed out on Myles Garrett, you can offer a 2027 first, a 2028 second, because you already have 2 2028 firsts from the A.J. Brown trade, and you can offer Nolan Smith, the pass rusher from Georgia. Now, I say all that, and again, Howie Roseman will always make these deals. He's always aggressive. But how can they afford Maxx Crosby when they're trading when they have $50 million a year for Jalen Hurts? Saquon Barkley makes a lot of money as far as a running back market out there. Not a lot when it comes to other positions, but for him, it's the most in football. Devontae Smith makes about $28 million a year. You have offensive linemen that make a good deal, a good amount of money. Lane Johnson may retire, but still guys are getting paid. You just traded for Jonathan Grenard, who is a good pass rusher, but he's making a lot of money. You just signed Jordan Davis to the biggest contract for a 3 technique. You're probably going to do the same thing with Jalen Carter. You have to sign Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell in a couple seasons. So I would say, yeah, they'll probably try this, but then they're going to have to blow up their team in a few years because I don't know how they afford this. Now, Maxx Crosby will be under contract for 3 more seasons, but I don't know if Howie Roseman can make this work financially. Could he put the best deal on the table? Maybe, but I don't think Howie Roseman wants to give up 2 first-round picks. Now, the Niners, in order for this to get done, Vinny Bonsignore's trade proposal is not good enough for me. They need to give up 2 first-round picks. But are the Niners in that position? Again, we're having this argument today on KMBR. Are they the 3rd best team in the NFC? I don't know. Maybe I'll have to think about that.
The conference, not the West. The
conference in general. Are the Niners the 3rd best team in the NFC? The problem is, if you say yes, they're the 3rd best team in their own division. Yeah. So it's true. The Rams and the Seahawks, even though they have older players, they're set up better for the future with the youth they have on their teams. The Niners, they drafted okay last year. We still have to see some of these guys play consistently, but you feel good about Upton Stout. You feel good about Alfred Collins, C.J. West. We'll see about these guys. But I don't know if the Niners are in the same position as the Rams. Like we brought this up with the Myles Garrett trade. What could they offer? They can't offer a player on their team. Like, again, in order to get Myles Garrett, you have to probably trade away Nick Bosa. So the Raiders, again, I've seen this a lot on social media, and this happened way before, this happened before the trade went down between the Ravens and the Raiders. Well, where people were speculating the Raiders won't get 2 first-round picks, but when you have multiple teams in on one guy, and he will be by far the biggest name at the trade deadline, then one team will come over the top with an offer of 2 first-round picks. And I don't know if the Niners weren't that team back in March. Why are they going to be that team come November? Now, it could be where they're feeling good, and they're just not quite there with the Seahawks and the Rams. So they need to make a move to put them over the top. Will it be where John Lynch goes above and beyond and calls John Spytek and says, I have to have this player. What do you want? Then maybe it gets done. But I'm with you, Alon, where John Spytek has no ties to the previous regime. Tom Brady, he's a Bay Area kid. He grew up loving the 49ers. Mark Davis, this would be hard for him.
Yep.
Regardless of them being in Las Vegas, I think he loves Maxx Crosby so much that he's okay with him going to the Baltimore Ravens. He would not be okay with him going to the 49ers, even though they're not in the same conference. It's just I had to move my team because of the 49ers. I'm not going to send my best player that I have the best relationship I've ever had with to a different to that organization in particular. Not going to happen. So if I'm being realistic about this, I don't think it happens. I think that John Lynch would have to offer the moon.
Yep.
But I think that if it was something so compelling that they couldn't say no, I think that John Spytek and Tom Brady could talk Mark Davis into it, and then Mark Davis will leave it up to Maxx Crosby and says, we love you, kid. We're 1-7 right now. Do you want to be here? Or do you want to go to the Niners? And I think Maxx Crosby would say, I want to go win.
Yeah, I think Maxx Crosby, the player, who definitely would say, I want to go win. I don't even know if that offer comes from the Niners, though. I mean, third best team in the NFC. The Rams are number one. Yeah,
that's debatable. I'm just saying if they are, it's the Seahawks and Rams of their own. Like you can make the debate that maybe the Eagles are the third best team or whoever, right?
I would say the Niners are right there with the Eagles, and you could flip flop them. Yeah.
Okay.
But if the Niners are the third best team in the NFC, that just means that they're the third best team in their division. That's all.
Exactly.
That
exactly.
Yeah. And that's the argument. And so you flip flop them with the Eagles. As far as Maxx Crosby goes, yeah, look, even if this team's 1-7, 2-5, whatever the case is, the interest will be there, and the Raiders will not. I believe this. They will not take anything less than what they were getting from the Baltimore Ravens. I just think that is the way that this front office does business. I'm not talking about Mark Davis here. I'm talking about John Spytek specifically. I think John Spytek and Tom Brady have a mentality of, no, we're not going to take that. Even if it means we're not getting maybe assets that this team needs to keep rebuilding. They just won't do it, for better or for worse. So, and also you don't let Maxx Crosby go for something like a first and a third or a first and a second. You just don't. It's just bad. It's bad on your part, especially if you're a team that does have some new energy around it. But yeah, I don't see him going to the Niners. I don't think Mark Davis, I don't even think, it doesn't matter what amount of campaigning Tom Brady could do. I don't think he'd be able to switch his mind on that. And as far as him going to the Eagles, that's more tenable. It's more palatable for the team and for the organization as well. But that might not even happen because of all the contract stuff you just mentioned. Yeah. And then what happens to Maxx Crosby's career? Here's the other thing. So someone said, it was rocking. Is Crosby 100% healthy? That's the other factor in this. His health has been getting, I don't want to say progressively worse, but it is progressively worse over the past 3 years in terms of his knee and his durability and things like that. He's played through a lot of injuries. So there is a reason why the Baltimore Ravens, it was probably for Trey Hendrickson, but there was probably a small percentage too of the reason why they backed out was because of his knee. And if he really does have some type of arthritis, degeneration, doesn't matter, cartilage damage that's progressive in his knee, that could keep going through the rest of his career, that's a problem. That's going to drive down his trade value. The other thing is with the Eagles, right? Say he goes to the Eagles. Crosby is not the first guy they're going to re-sign. He's not. He's older. They got him through a trade. They probably won't be able to extend him and restructure because Maxx Crosby is going to want the big money for a defensive end. So what's his career look like after that? If he wins a Super Bowl with Philadelphia, great. But from a contract perspective, he's going to become one of these mercenary defensive ends where every year, every 2 years or whatever it is, till the end of his playing time, he'll be on a different team. I don't know if he wants that either. So that's another thing to consider. I think the Eagles would love to have him, but they are loaded as it is. Their problem is not needing another pass rusher or needing a Maxx Crosby. Their problem is fixing their offense. That's all they have to do. If they fix their offense, they're right up there with the Rams.
But the Rams were in the same position where no one was talking about their pass rush. They had Jared Verse and Byron Young, and then they just made this move. So I think Howie Roseman gets jealous like that sometimes where he's like, let Snead beat me to this. I don't like that. You know what? I'm going to make my own big-time pass rusher move. So I wouldn't be the least bit surprised, but I'm with you, Alon. I brought up all the contracts. It would be where the same deal with Myles Garrett where we can't extend you. This is it. Like, you're going to finish our career. You're going to finish your career with us and win a championship, but that's it after that. You're going to go in your later years, you're going to probably go from team to team and sign with a 1 year deal every year. Now,
Von Miller.
Von Miller, exactly. Now, which I think look out for him to go back to the Broncos. What's what's going on with Jonathan Cooper right now? Did you see this story where he swallowed his girlfriend's phone or something?
I don't understand how.
Yeah,
that.
it's disturbing. Anyway, I don't even want to go into it.
Yeah.
So sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Swallowing phones.
How do you swallow an iPhone? Sorry, get back to that.
I mean, I don't know how you digest that. Anyway, when it comes to teams that'll be interested for Maxx Crosby, we mentioned the Eagles, we mentioned the 49ers. The Bears were there too. The Bears offered 2 first-round picks. Ryan Poles wanted to make this deal. And ultimately, the Raiders decided to go with the Ravens because they had a better draft spot. Mm-hmm. The Bears don't have a lot of pass rushers. They have... Who's it? Montez Sweat, the guy Austin Booker, and I'm going to butcher his name, but Adebayo, whatever his name is, from the Colts a couple years ago. So they could use Maxx Crosby, but they could also use a lot more on their team. And I think they're not in a position to trade away 2 first-round picks because they need younger players. Like, yes, they have a mix of veterans and guys like Roma Dunze or Luther Burden, but I don't know if they're in a position where, they're competing every year in the NFC North with all 3 of those teams. I think right now that's a crapshoot. You can talk about the Packers, Lions, Bears, Vikings. Any of those teams can win the NFC North this year. I don't know if they're in a position where they can trade 2 first-round picks like that. Now, it could be where you make a move like that for Maxx Crosby, and who cares? But you also got to sign Caleb Williams to a contract next offseason that may cost $70 million a year. So not a lot of money tied up into players, but it could be where, all right, we got our franchise quarterback for the future. Let's go all in on Maxx Crosby. Now, do I think that happens? No. You know what team I think actually trades for him? And a Niner fan's going to be pissed off by this.
Dallas?
Nope. The Rams made a big-time move for a pass rusher. Would not be the least bit surprised if the Seahawks trade 2 first-round picks for Maxx Crosby. Because they could do it. Why not? They just won the Super Bowl. If they're good, what's stopping them again? If they're right there with the Rams, why not trade for Maxx Crosby? And here's the thing. They got a lot of defensive players on their team. They just signed JSN to a contract that pays him the most annually for a wide receiver. They only have Sam Darnold on the books for $33 million for a couple more years. Mm-hmm. He's not making that much more money than a lot of guys in the NFL right now. Actually, he's cheap for Super Bowl winning quarterback. He's cheap as hell. They're going to have to sign Devin Witherspoon, their corner. But that's about it. They put a lot of money into JSN. They put a lot of money into Devin Witherspoon. Besides that, they signed a backup pass rusher, Derek Hall, who arguably could have been Super Bowl MVP, to a long-term deal, but he's not making top-of-the-line pass rush money. And then you got DeMarcus Lawrence, who's maybe going to be up in a year. You got Nwosu, their other pass rusher, who scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl, but his contract's up in a year. You could easily trade him next offseason when you make this move to recoup some of the draft capital you gave away for Crosby. So, and let's not forget the Clint Kubiak connection here that could be in play with the Seahawks. And John Schneider is just as aggressive as Howie Roseman or Les Snead. We've seen in years past. His decision's not so great when it comes to giving away 2 first-round picks or a first-round pick. He traded for Sheldon Richardson one year. I remember that with the Jets. And again with the Jets, he traded 2 first-round picks for Jamal Adams. That backfired totally when Jamal Adams couldn't cover George Kittle. But, yeah, I think with the older players on the Seahawks roster, they could go all in this season, have all those guys on the team. And then next offseason, that's when you see Leonard Williams leave, when you see DeMarcus Lawrence retire, when you see Nwosu traded away. Wouldn't be the least bit surprised if, and there's been some rumors about this, but nothing materialized. Wouldn't be the least bit surprised if the Seahawks are the team that gets Maxx Crosby and offers up 2 first-round picks.
I could see that happening too. I think the Eagles would still be more likely just because I think they would make that move and wouldn't mind coming over the top big time. But Seattle, if they feel like, look, they're playing with house money now, defending Super Bowl champions, no one's going to fault them for any move because they just won a Super Bowl. Exactly. It's similar to what the Rams somehow get to live in that situation for the past 6 years pretty much. But yeah, the Seahawks can live in that same world where it's like, yeah, let's do it. Let's make the trade. And Sam Darnold's contract is perfect for that. And that's a situation too, where for Maxx Crosby, the instability he would have after the mercenary contract with finishing out his contract after a trade with Philadelphia, he could very well be extended by Seattle just because they like having their defensive players, and he'd be a great kind of, defensive face for them for the rest of his career. That would be fascinating. The Niners would not like that, especially if they were also trying to make a trade.
Oh God, yeah.
But
can you imagine that if the Niners saw their two division opponents get Myles Garrett and Maxx Crosby, and they were like, well, we got Joey Bosa.
Yeah, we got Bosa. We got two Mikel Williams.
Yeah.
That'd
be rough.
It would be, and it for the Seahawks, they would love it because they go, look, we're in a trade competition with two other NFC teams, maybe three if it's the Bears as well, and we just basically took something from them. So yeah, it would be an absolute robbery for the Seahawks in a way. That would be fascinating. I don't think, if I have to put a cap on this, I would say Maxx Crosby. I don't think he gets traded this season. I just don't. I think it is something that happens after the season. And I think it's mostly dependent on health. And that's what I think the trepidation is out there for, because no matter what those reasons were that Baltimore backed out, I think health was definitely part of it. But the Seahawks, man, if they just go, we could be right there with the Rams and we're defending Super Bowl champions, we'll offer 2 first-round picks. Yeah, they will. Now, those picks are probably going to be later in the draft, but hey, there's still 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, I think that I wonder if there will be a deal that comes through during the season that makes the Raiders, an offer that they can't refuse, basically. With how crazy the Rams are about winning Super Bowl this season, I wonder how aggressive other teams will be. And he'll be the biggest name of the trade deadline. There's other names like, Kyle Pitts, or DeForest Buckner. But Maxx Crosby will be the biggest name by far. So I'm not saying he's not going to be dealt. I actually anticipate it during the season. But it's not going to happen right now. And it would have to be where Maxx Crosby is all about being a Raider right now. It would have to be where they lose, and he's like, okay, I tried this out. I'm here with Mendoza. I'm here with Clint Kubiak. I'm here with my guy, Rob Leonard, and it just didn't work out. So I'm ready to go to a different team. And if John Spytek, I'm with you, Alon, it's not going to be for anything less than 2 first-round picks. So if Maxx Crosby for the first 8 weeks of the season, and some teams like, you know what, we'll offer the same thing that Baltimore was giving you, I think it does get done. Yeah,
so and that's what would have to happen. So I just wonder if that need is going to be there. That's what I wonder. If that need is going to be there for that price.
Dude, it's the same thing with like we're seeing right now where, we're coming up on the MLB trade deadline. There's talk about Tarek Skubal or Robbie Ray, of these pitchers. Same thing with pass rushers. Teams go crazy for that midseason when you're trying to win a championship.
It's true. I just we'll see what the market is like. But back to the kind of the genesis of this story. Well, I guess it's a story that started way back in March, but
it's a never-ending story, man.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, nuclear hot. Yeah, everybody's nuclear hot about good players. That's what happens. So
exactly. And then the story that never dies in college football, Brendan Sorsby. So last time you and I were talking, it was going to be where he won his injunction. He was going to be able to play for Texas Tech this season. I think I misspoke last podcast where I said he was on Texas Tech last year. No, Cincinnati. He transferred this last year. So, well, now we're never going to see him play quarterback, and I'll tell you why real quick. But he was granted his injunction and won, and he was only going to be suspended the first 2 weeks of the season. And a Texas county judge allowed him to play for this year. Now, there was total backlash with this. A lot of ADs in the Big 12 were pissed. Sorsby, prior to this, sued the NCAA, and the Big 12 sued Texas Tech. So as a result of that, Texas Tech came to Sorsby and was like, look, we support you and everything you're going through right now, but we can't get into a fight with our own conference here. So it was announced earlier this week. It was a report, but not official yet. Brendan Sorsby will be dropping his lawsuit against the NCAA, and he will be declaring for the supplemental draft. Now, he hasn't declared officially yet, and he needs to do so by the 22nd on Monday. And this will be the first time the supplemental draft is in effect since 2023. It hasn't been around since then, and no player has been selected since Jalen Thompson in 2019. There's a lot of talk about Sorsby as a prospect. I watched him the other night. He's got really good mobility. He's got a strong arm. I would guess that a team's going to offer a third or fourth round pick. And it's going to be the teams that you would have guessed that are in need of quarterbacks, the Jets, the Browns, the Cardinals, whoever. But yeah, he is going to go. He's going to play in the NFL this year, but I don't know if he's actually going to play. He'll be on an NFL roster, but I would anticipate he'll get the same treatment as Terrell Pryor or Jim Tressel, where you can't just leave the NCAA and not get punished. I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if the NFL is like, you're suspended for the entire season. You could be around the team, you could practice, but you're not playing on Sundays or whatever day of the week.
Yeah, and unlike Terrell Pryor, he's not a generational talent at the college level. Unlike Jim Tressel, he's not a generational head coach. Even though he's a head coach, I mean, not a generational college phenom in a way. So, yeah, he'll probably be on a practice squad or some team's second or third, option during the season. He'll play during the preseason. This injunction served its purpose. That was kind of the whole purpose of it, was to give him time, to give him in the institution time on whether he was going to declare for a supplemental draft and go to the NFL, or if he was going to stay at Texas Tech. And so in that case, it did work. It worked for that reason. The Big 12 filing a lawsuit against one of their own members, and then athletic directors and people affiliated with those universities openly talking poorly about Texas Tech, that could have gone very, very poorly for those Big 12 teams, because then you're talking about things like collusion and all kinds of stuff. So it's good that this situation is kind of this crisis has been abated. As far as where he's going to go in the NFL, it's going to be one of those quarterback poor teams. It's going to be Arizona. It's going to be the Jets. It's going to be, I would have said Miami, but they have Malik Willis. But it'll be teams like that. I don't know what's going to end up with this guy's career. Could be a great comeback story, but his value's definitely tanked. Let's put it that way. He's going to be a flyer. He's going to be, hey, is this guy any good in preseason? And if he's not, he'll be on a practice squad and then out of the NFL. So what a weird story, because this looked like it was something that could potentially break college football in a way, in terms of, well, I don't know. Everything could break college football every single year, but it looked like something that was going to warrant at least the voices of people saying, hey, we need congressional or government oversight and regulation and all this. Somehow the college football gods just go, yeah, we'll hand off the problem to the NFL now. And that's what happened. So college football gets to go on being college football. And I don't know, maybe it's a diamond in the rough for Arizona Cardinals. Who knows? Maybe.
I don't know if you saw this, Alon, but Jay Billis actually studied law in college at Duke. He went on the Rich Eisen show and was speaking beautifully about the whole legal system with this, and he thought it was going to get overturned. He thought this was much ado about nothing when it came to the injunction, and they would overturn it. And I don't know the timeline with that, but I think this was a matter of time where Sorsby was going to lose this whole thing. Yeah. So, and again, if you don't know the story, he placed thousands of bets when he was a backup quarterback at Indiana for Indiana to win, but that is the one cardinal sin in sports. You can't bet on sports. You can bet on other sports. You can't bet on your own sport, let alone your own team. And even to win, it's the Pete Rose thing. So no, I don't think this guy should get away scot-free. And the last time we were talking about the whole mental health aspect of this, does he have a problem? He very well might. But you know what? The same thing with Brandon Ayuk. Mental health is not an excuse to be an asshole. And there are consequences to your actions. Mm-hmm. So even if you did place bets because you have a problem, I hope he gets as much help as possible. But that does not excuse him from his behavior however long ago, 4 years ago. And we all do dumb things as kids. But when you are an athlete, you cannot bet like that. You can't. You're seeing it right now with Terry Rozier and Chauncey Billups. So, no, the punishment fit the crime, in my opinion. he should not be allowed to play football this year for the NCAA. Now, the NFL is a different story. We've seen success stories when it comes to the supplemental draft, whether it's Chris Carter or Bo Jackson. Terrell Pryor was selected by the Raiders, and he was flashy for a little bit of time, but didn't pan out. He switched to wide receiver, I want to say. The Cleveland Browns.
Yep.
But he has potential. He could be a player. And this is funny to me now, where this happened in years past, the supplemental draft, but now when I want to say it can't go longer than the second week of July, the supplemental draft. It can't take place longer than that. So you're going to have teams that have to go to work on July 4th, which is usually when most facilities are empty. So people are going to do a lot of homework on this game. They probably already have. But, very interesting. And the quarterback that Texas Tech went and, got, because their offense, from what I saw in that playoff game against Oregon, was brutal, took another hit. So we'll talk more about college football with Alon as the season goes on here. But, Brendan Sorsby not going to play college football for Texas Tech this year. He will be in the NFL. We'll just see if he gets suspended with the punishment from college football.
The punishment, I don't know what the punishment can be now at this point, because he's out of the hands of collegiate football. But I think that he's definitely ruined any chance of having a great start to his career. Let's put it that way. A
normal start. Most draft picks, most highly sought prospects have usually coming into the league.
Exactly. So, now he's going in as a supplemental player, probably a team going to give up a third or a fourth for him. And then you're already starting, kind of at the bottom of the totem pole, more so than you would out of a regular draft. So I'm not saying that's enough punishment, though. And I agree with your point, because I talked about, you could have a problem and it's a thing and all that. But your consequences do, your actions do have consequences, and your consequences have actions. So it's just the way it goes for him. And it's just stupid. Chauncey Billups, you brought him up. That is one of the cards where they're being able to read cards.
The Mafia card games. Yeah.
Yeah. Mafia card games with basketball players and sports betting. And to make a larger point, we are degrading. And look, people can gamble all they want, but this constant spamming of gambling advertisements, especially towards younger people, we haven't even seen the worst of it yet. It's going to keep happening.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. All right. Before we get out of here, Alon, I wanted to get your review of, what is it, UFC 250?
Freedom 250.
So tell me how that went down on Trump's front lawn.
Front lawn. Yeah, the South lawn. It's. I guess it's his right now. It was an amazing event. It really was. The production value of it, the Marine Corps band playing the walkout songs, the fights all ending in finishes, the main event with Justin Gaethje taking Ilia Topuria to the torture chamber, I thought was great. And he was a big underdog because Topuria is amazing and has been on an unbelievable run against Volkanovski, and then he beat Oliveira as well. And Gaethje just, from a fight perspective, was just peppering him with the jab, was firing back. He did get hurt with a bad liver shot, was able to scramble and recover in between rounds. But it was a great event, and there were about 80,000 people on the Ellipse watching it. I had a few friends who work in the media here who were able to go cover it. They said it was incredible. Trump was definitely involved. Every fighter after every fight who won went and said hi to him. He walked out to start the thing with Dana White, but it was not an overtly political in terms of what was actually happening in the cage. It was about the fights.
Right.
Now some of the advertisements were political for sure.
Mm-hmm.
With some of the, Truth Social or Trump coins and things like that. But in terms of a production and a spectacle, very expensive. UFC put on a great event. They probably won't do that again because they paid $60 to $80 million to get all that built, and they didn't make any money off the gate. This was pretty much a promotional event for the UFC, but it was awesome. I loved it, and I love fighting sports, so I would have loved it if it was boxing, kickboxing. Didn't matter what it was, but I thought it was great that the card was so good. And then the fights were great, and I was really happy to see a main event that was just two men in there giving it their all. And Justin Gaethje, because he took Paddy Pimblett a few months ago to the torture chamber in their fight, and he did the same thing to Topuria. So it was excellent to watch. I thought it was a great event, and it seems to be a big success, but a big money dump for the promotion too. I mean, that was an expensive event. So we'll see, because they had a fight at the Sphere that was extremely expensive to put on.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've done this, probably both those things in the last 2 to 3 years. So UFC is gonna need some money, but they did this for promotion, and I thought it went really well.
Well, there you go. I saw clips of it and some stuff that happened, that was said in the octagon, I guess. But for the most part, it seemed like it was a fun event. And we'll see if they do it again. But I'm with you, Alon. And that's
Derek,
all I got.
I will say real quick, Josh Hokett, who
Yeah.
has this whole persona, he's cringe. I can't stand him. I wish you got to fight Derek Lewis, and Derek Lewis was maybe 5 or 6 years younger. That would have been actually fun. Derek Lewis now is much older and at the end of his career. I'm not a Josh Hokett fan. The faster he gets KO'd, the better for me. But, he won his fight too. There were some things said for sure, but the fight game is full of clowns, and it always will be.
No, I hear you on that. And I think, I guess Josh Hokett, I saw the clip of him saying Michelle Obama's a man. And
how's he know?
Yeah, exactly. Like wherever you lean politically, like that's just disrespectful.
Yeah.
And even like some people think that Shane Gillis is like this, ultra conservative guy. But like even afterwards, he was asked like, "What'd you think about that?" He goes, "I don't like that shit." Like it was a fun event, and then they ruined it with that. So not the whole event was ruined, but like that need to be said. So
no,
yeah, I hear you on that, Alon. That's obviously going to happen with politics and sports when you have it in that setting. But it seems like it was a good event for the most part.
Yeah, no, it was a really good event. I thought it was multicultural too. It definitely was. I mean, there were I credit the UFC for making it an event that wasn't in America. Dana White talked about this. I didn't want it to be America versus the rest of the world in terms of the card. So I really liked that. It was not set up that way, and it kind of honored all the athletes. So I love that. I also love the fact that we had people, who work, who have been veterans or whatever, walking the fighters out. I thought that was really cool. And I thought it was a really well done event, and it's something that we won't see again. I mean, they're never going to put a fight on the South Lawn again, and for good reason, because $80 million to do that. I don't know a promoter in the world who wants to pay to get that done. Dana White's just insane.
No, I'm with you on that one. Here we got some people in the chat now. Mr. Irrelevant, who says Alon reminds him of Copes, my co-host on KMBR. He's white Copes with different color and no hair. Okay, all right.
Copes has great hair, by the way.
Yes, he does. I'm very jealous of it. But thank you, Mr. Irrelevant, and I also thank you. Says in the chat. Hope Papa's doing well, Derek. I appreciate that, man. And I want to let you guys know that most likely we're not going to do a show on Sunday. With Father's Day, I'm going to spend some time with my father, so we'll be doing that. If there is time, let's just between now until when I leave for Italy on Wednesday. If there is news with Giannis, we'll pop on here. If there's not, I may see you guys when I come back from my Italy trip. As I said, I'm going to go to my sister's wedding in Italy. I'll be there for a grand total of 4 days, and I will be jet lagged as fuck when I come back, but it'll be a good time. It'll be a good time regardless. Love my sister, by the way. I feel like I have to say that while I'm complaining about my trip to Italy.
Well, she is making you fly 2,000 miles, Derek.
She is making me fly, and I can't stand destination weddings, but here we are. To everybody in the chat, thank you so much. Thanks to Mr. Irrelevant. Thank you for a new. I love new faces, or I guess new names in the chat. Mr. Irrelevant MC 2020. Safe travels, buddy. I appreciate that. To Otis Bird is the word. To Ernie One. We had some other new names. We had Rockaduera. We had Ernie One.
Giop Soy.
Yes, we had Giop Soy. And I believe that is it. All right, everybody. We will see you guys. Yeah, Briston Revelant saying Derek flying Niner miles. Yeah, Niners are traveling a lot this upcoming season. We will see you guys when I see you. We'll see if we do a show on Sunday or sooner if Giannis gets dealt. If not, I'll see you guys when I come back from Italy. Alon, say what you say. Say what you always say, my friend.
Well, I do have something to say before I say what I always say, Derek,
Oh,
because
well, all
I
right
just
then,
thought
Alon.
about it. So when we get to do a little extra time, how would they do
Okay,
in
extra
soccer? A
time.
little injury time. What is your because your dad was working a ton, right, on Father's Day, whether it was baseball or but when he wasn't working on baseball, what was the sport that you liked to watch with your dad on a Father's Day, if you did watch sports?
Oh, I mean, baseball was a usual thing. Like, there were some tough Father's Days where I think the Warriors lost Game 7 to the Cavs on Father's Day.
Yeah, I probably watched that.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we were in the same arena together, and then we drove home together in silence the whole time. And I was like, "Happy Father's Day, Dad." The best Father's Day I can remember is when we did a double dip of when we started the day at Oracle Park and watching a Giants game, and then drove to go see the A's play later that day. So that was fun. Me and my little brother and my father. Yeah, so I'll remember that. That was I want to say that was 2018 or maybe 2019, but that was a lot of fun. Do you have any memories like that, Alon?
Mostly for Father's Day. I mean, usually me and my dad either have gone to fights or we'll watch fights on TV or whatever. Baseball, of course. But yeah, most of my sports memories with my dad are just are not on Father's Day. We usually he just likes to lay low and do his thing, so that's the way it is.
But you guys, you guys would go to a lot of Raider games together.
Oh, ton. Yeah. I mean, we still go to Raider games together, so which is always fun. But yeah, so everybody go do something with your father if you're lucky enough to do so on Sunday. And that's just wanted to ask about that because I wanted to know what the two sports geniuses do on a holiday and which sport they choose to watch.
No, I appreciate being called a genius. Thank you, Alon. All right, everybody, we'll see you guys next time we do a podcast. If Giannis, I'll keep it simple. If Giannis gets traded, we'll do another show. If not, I'll probably see you guys when NBA free agency starts up on June 30th. Until then, Alon, say what you always say, my friend.
Hey, you guys might think that the best choice for Giannis is to go to the Boston Celtics, but it's actually the Miami Heat, and that's just your opinion, man.
Is it really?
Abundanza.